Canada is set to kick off their World Cup preparations tomorrow against Bahrain in a friendly in Bahrain, and this is a very massive, exciting match for Canada, of course, in the lead up to the World Cup. And we're going to be taking a look ahead and a match preview at the predicted lineup tomorrow, the tactical setup that Herdman also might be going with, and three key players who I think Canadians and Herdman will need to keep their eye out for in this match, in the likes of Daniil Henry, Ismail Kone, and Jonathan Osorio. And of course, we're going to deep dive at a couple more as well. Before we do, guys, make sure to drop down below, hit that sub button, drop a like, and let me know what you guys think down below in the comments, what your guys' lineups might be, and also let me know what you guys think of my video. We're going to jump straight into things, right into the deep end, and talk about the predicted lineup. And this definitely isn't my predicted lineup, or the one I would like to see. This is the one I think Herdman's going to go with. And we're going to kick it off with Dane St. Clair in net, back four of Miller, Daniil Henry, Richie Laryea, and Alistair Johnston, a midfield trio with Samuel Piette, Ismail Kone, and Jonathan Osorio, and a front three of Lucas Cavallini, Jacob Schaffelberg, and Jaden Nelson. And we're going to jump straight in things and talk about this tactical setup that I think Herdman's going to go with, and the team itself. Of course, it really picks itself besides that one center back position, in my true opinion. I think Daniil Henry is going to be starting. I think him and Waterman are going to split 45 minutes, because that is a position that is truly on the bubble. I think Herdman's going to need to decide on this game. He talks very highly about Daniil Henry, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens there and how good he plays in this match. And of course, like I said, we're going to take a deep dive at Daniil Henry in just a sec, so I'm not going to talk about him so much right now. But Waterman is going to need to prove himself in the 45 minutes he's going to be getting. He's a mountain to climb, as Herdman loves Daniil Henry so much, so it's going to be very interesting to see if Waterman can really prove himself, as I don't think there's going to be really much defensive action needed against a team like Bahrain, as Canada's really going to control most of this match. But I think this back four chooses itself in Laryea, Miller, Henry, and Johnston. Of course, with St. Clair in net, as Maxime Crépeau is coming off a broken leg in the MLS Cup final, winning his side the cup. And of course, a midfield three, which I think is an absolute given. Of course, we saw Canada play Uruguay in a friendly match just in the last window, where we played Qatar, dominated them 2-0, and then we went to play Uruguay. Uruguay dominated and overran us in the midfield, due to only having a midfield two with Samuel Piette and Stefan Eustáquio, who truly got run over, as they of course aren't the most pacey players in the world. And having a midfield two in international football or in the world of football, I think just isn't wise, as I think a midfield three for Canada is absolutely perfect. As you look at our midfield, we have passing range for days. Piette, Kone, and Osorio can knock a ball around for fun, and especially when you look at who we're going to be getting back. Atiba Hutchinson, Stefan Eustáquio, some absolute ball players and gems on the ball, and of course more players as well. But it would be an absolute treat for Herdman to go with the midfield three. I think it's what he's going to go with. I think it's the perfect move. I think we're going to go with some sort of 4-3-3 style of formation, because I look at when you bring in the guys back from, of course, our EU players or players playing abroad, it's going to definitely have to be a midfield three. And I think Herdman's setting up this lineup to play how he wants in the Japan match, which will then reflect on how he wants to play against Belgium in the World Cup. So this is, of course, perhaps in that sense, he's going to want to play the same tactical setup. He's going to want those players all to realize how he's going to want to run this team. And I think that's how it's going to be, a midfield three, whether it's Piette, Kone, Osorio, or whether you see some form of Liam Fraser or Marc-Anthony Kaye there as well. Those are two guys I'm going to take a bit of a deeper look at in just a minute as well. But I think they're going to get some significant minutes in this game, because I think they're on the bubble or outside looking in as well. The front three, I think, really does choose itself for me. You look at Cavallini up top, he's not going to be placed over Ayo Akinola. He has to be in over Ayo Akinola, because Lucas Cavallini is probably a lock going to Qatar for John Herdman. We've seen it throughout qualifiers. And on the wings, we only really have two true wingers here in Jaden Nelson and Jacob Schaffelberg, who can both play both sides. So they are both coming. Guys, I'm going to swiftly move on from the tactical setup onto the three players who I think are keys to watch and must look at in this match tomorrow against Bahrain. And the first one is Daniil Henry. Daniil Henry is a guy who can truly play him into the World Cup, himself in or himself out. And lately, of course, club form and how he's been domestically, he definitely doesn't deserve to be going to the World Cup. But I do see Herdman's part about being a leader. Henry probably won't be playing at the World Cup no matter what. We got center backs like Kamal Miller, Atiba Hutchinson, who can play back there, Steven Vittoria, Derek Cornelius, who are all miles better than Daniil Henry. But Daniil Henry would be going for his leadership and maybe the physical presence on coming on late to maybe win an aerial ball or to bring in a physical presence late in the game in a World Cup match against a Belgium or a Croatia. And yes, it would be very interesting, but Daniil Henry has been absolutely horrific for Toronto FC, playing himself out of the World Cup squad, as we saw in last window as well. And yes, he's a 29-year-old defender, but you look at what he's done lately, only being involved in 3 of TFC's matches where he went 22 minutes in both of Philadelphia Union, Atlanta United, and getting 45 in CF Montreal. For me, he looked absolutely horrendous, where CF Montreal completely targeted him, and he looked poor. And besides that, this year for TFC, he played a minute in 2 other matches, getting 4 against New England and also 45 against Charlotte. He has been horrific. He hasn't had recent football, and he hasn't played quality football as well. He needs a big showing against Bahrain. But the thing that I think is going to go against him in this match is Canada's going to truly hold all possession and control the whole game. If Bahrain gets a couple attacks or counterattacks, I could see that as well. It's probably going to happen. It's a given. It's football. But I don't see Bahrain holding a substantial amount of football. I don't think they're going to create quality chances, and that's the thing I think that's going to go against Daniil Henry. I don't think he's going to be able to be helping himself here on the defensive end, which is a huge lackluster for him, needing to prove himself going to this World Cup. It's not the match he needs to prove himself. Where I think Joel Waterman, I think he should be in the squad already. That is where I think this is going to go both ways. They're each going to get 45 for me. I think they're each going to go 45 minutes. One's going to come on at halftime. One's going to come off. It's a given. It's just a toss-up. Who starts, who comes on. But Waterman has been significantly better. He's been playing terrifically well for CF Montreal, and he looks brilliant. Of course, much younger than Daniil Henry. He looks very good. And for me, he looks decent on the ball as well. Joel Waterman is a quality player, and just seeing the rise from CPL all the way to the national team is amazing to see as well. For me, Joel Waterman 100% deserves to be in over Daniil Henry, but the leadership Henry brings, everything else with that, it's a huge gain. So that's the only problem, because whichever center back goes, realistically isn't going to play. So it's going to be very interesting what happens against Bahrain. Also, guys, we're going to swiftly move on to my next player I want to talk about, which we're going to kind of speed it up because I know it's becoming a longer video. Jonathan Osorio. Jonathan Osorio has been featured in a lot of the pictures from Canada Soccer, showing him in a lot of the training videos as well, so it's very interesting. For me, I think he's going to be fit enough to start. I'm not sure how long he's going to go. He's a lock to go to the World Cup. Question is, how long he's going to be able to play against Bahrain? Is he going to be able to be fully fit to play the full 90? We are not sure yet. I haven't heard any leaks on that or anything like that, so it'd be very interesting to see if you guys have. Drop a comment, let me know if you guys have. But Osorio for me is starting no matter what against Bahrain. The real question is, how many minutes is he going to go? He's going to need to prove his quality here, because for me, it could easily be a Kone, Hutchinson, and a Eustachio midfield. Osorio has been out injured for so long. He hasn't played significant minutes in a while. Yes, he's been phenomenal, having 9 goals and 4 assists this season in a brilliant MLS campaign that ended early tragically for him, and a very poor TFC side this season that is rebuilding. But Jonathan Osorio could have been a player who hit double digits in goals and assists this season, but unfortunately was lackluster by an injury. Jonathan Osorio is, of course, a brilliant midfielder. Nonetheless, he's been a phenomenal player. The real question is, how fit is he? Can he play the full 90? And how good is he going to be on his return? Is he going to be very rusty? Because we've seen him with Atiba Hutchinson coming back. He was phenomenal. So it's going to be very exciting to see what Osorio can bring. The last guy I want to quickly talk about is Ismail Kone. I think this is another big international friendly. You're not playing a Qatar. You're not playing Uruguay, USA, or Mexico. Yes, you're playing a Bahrain, who is a very below average side that are still not that bad. They're still a decent side that sits at 85 in the world. They're not a 200th or a 150th or something like that. Bahrain is still a not bad side who did play very well against Iran in leading up to the World Cup. So, why do I want to talk about Ismail Kone? Well, the reason I want to talk about Kone is when he has played for us in the first match, he was very jittery on the ball. Next match he played for us, he was phenomenal. And then he showed his growth. I think he's going to do it once again. If he can control the game, if he can dictate play, if he can knock the ball around, if he can create some chances, maybe getting a goal or assist, I think he can maybe play himself in that Japan match and start. And if he plays himself into that Japan match and has a brilliant match once again and shows his true form and talent, everyone's going to have their eyes on Ismail Kone, and Ismail Kone is then going to get the start in the World Cup. He has a huge chance to prove himself here. If he can dictate this match massively, if he has a huge impact on some match, it is Ismail Kone for the running into the World Cup, in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think down below. Drop a comment your predicted lineups, who you guys think will be starting, and let me know what you guys think of my 3 key players to watch for tomorrow. I'll see you guys for the next one. Peace.